It is probably my most hated question as well, because that is the hardest question to answer. What's going on, guys? It's Matt Pinella with Matt Bangs Wood. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm stoked. One of my most frequently asked questions across all of my social media platforms is what tool belt people should be investing in. It's the hardest damn question to answer too, because there's so many variables that play into it. Now, I can't tell you which tool belt is going to be best for you. I don't know what you carry every day. I don't know what job you're doing. It's just not something that I am physically able to tell each and every one of you guys, hey, you need Buckaroo, you need Diamondback, you need Occidental. That guy back there might need Atlas 46, who knows. But what I can do is break down these three belt systems right here, explain what I like about each one of them, explain what I don't like about each one of them, and hopefully by the end of this video you have a better feel on which belt system you should go with. So it seems that my most frequently asked question on social media is what tool belt people should be buying. I understand why. You can't walk into a store and try on a pair of Diamondback tool belt. If you're lucky, you have a lumberyard nearby that carries Occidental, so you might be able to try those on. With that being said, you almost have to go entirely off of someone's judgment. That can be a little tricky, as a lot of people are biased to one brand. And that is why I have decided to make this video, because I don't have ties to any of these people. When I was first getting started in the trades, I wore a very, very cheap Husky tool belt from Home Depot. The belt itself would roll down onto itself. I had gnarly rashes on my hip bones. It was terribly uncomfortable to work out of for long periods of time, but it's what I could afford, and I made it work. Now, I upgraded to my first set of Occidentals in 2016, and it was definitely a game changer for me. Now, over time, I switched from one Occidental set to the next, sold the first one, got rid of the next one, bought another one, and then over the years, this kind of happened. So I wore this exact same 8080 DB set from Occidental until the middle of 2018, and that is when I got my setup from Buckaroo Leatherworks. If you want to watch my review video on this Buckaroo setup, click the iCard in the top right corner here. You can go watch my review. When I was getting my Buckaroo setup, I had absolutely nothing to reference. I mean, I can go off of pictures online, I can go from what people say, but how much do you trust what people say? I do feel like some people are biased to companies depending on how much they've invested into their belt. Obviously, if you put $1,000 into a Diamondback rig, you're not going to want to walk around and tell people that Occidental is better than Diamondback. Now, when I ordered my Buckaroo setup, I really had nothing to reference. There wasn't a bunch of videos online explaining this belt. There wasn't videos online showing off all the pouches, and that is one of the main reasons why I did the YouTube review that is up in the iCard in the top right corner. Over 12,000 people have watched that video now. I'm super stoked. A ton of you guys have messaged me saying that you ordered based off of that video, and that is exactly what I was hoping for. That's what I would have wanted to watch before I ordered this belt. And that's what I'm hoping to do with this video with all three of these belts. So we're going to start with my earliest belt setup. This is the 8080 DB from Occidental. I wore this exact belt setup for years. For those of you that are about to comment saying this belt is brand new, you are absolutely correct. I got it for this video. Occidental Leather has been putting out belts that are built to last for years now. I know a few guys that are wearing the same exact Occidental setup that they did 10, 15, even 20 years ago. They may not look as good anymore, but they still work. Alright, let's get started. We're going to break down this belt, talk about my favorite things about it and my least favorite things about it. Alright, so let's go over all the pros of this Occidental setup. For starters, these pouches are big. You can fit quite a bit in here. You could load this thing down with fasteners. I've carried plenty of racks of nails in these guys. Nailing off roofs, nailing off shear panel, you can load these things down. Big open pouches, you can drop an impact drill in there if you need to. You're not going to have a problem carrying what you need to carry. Another great thing about these pouches, this is the right hand pouch. You have plenty of tool storage in here. You've got a ton of little spots. You can stick chisels in here, scratch-alls, pencils, markers, whatever you need to carry. Safe to say you can put just about anything you want in this right hand side. I got questioned about this an awful lot and I was rather surprised. This right here is a hammer holster on the front right. Nice and easy to get to, super smooth, super quick. I used that primarily. I didn't have a back holster or anything else. If I were to set this belt up and frame it right now, this would go away. Wouldn't even put it on the belt. these two pouches and the belt, possibly a bag in the back for hand drives or something like that, but that is it. I used that front hammer holster primarily. It was great. Never had issues with it. So if you've ever talked to anybody that has broken in a leather belt setup like the Occidentals here, they're going to tell you that it was a little rough. And I will not lie, break-in is not going to be easy. But after that break-in period is over, these bags are wicked comfortable. Another thing that people assume about leather belts is that they're automatically 12 pounds. Personally, I cannot tell the difference between Diamondback, Occidental, and Buckaroo. Now, I have worn a lot of different belt setups, and I am not going to sit here and tell you that there is a huge difference in weight from one bag to the next. When they're loaded down with tools, they all feel the freaking same to me. I did mention earlier that there are guys that are still wearing the same belt setup from 10, 15, even 20 years ago. These belts are meant to last. This setup here, you could buy this right now. You could not buy a belt until 2040 if you wanted to. The designated square holder here is wonderful. That is one thing that I have to have on any belt setup that I'm wearing. And the last thing that I can mention about this Occidental setup is the fact that you can go out to a store and purchase this set and have it today. Just about every single lumberyard in our area carries Occidental belts, and that's the one nice thing. And I think that's why a lot of people wear them. They're easy to access, everybody knows who they are, and they've been around for years. Alright, so now that we're done with the pros of the Occidental 8080 DB setup, we're going to talk about the cons, things I dislike about this setup. Starting on the right pouch. This is a tape measure holster. I cannot stand this thing. It gets in the way completely. If you buy a set, I highly recommend drilling this thing out. A 35-foot tape does not fit in there anyway. That leaves you a lot more room to access your right-hand pouch. Personally, I have never used one of these. I never will use one. It just gets in the way for me. Along with that, you have these little guys in here. I stick pencils in them, bits, all sorts of little things. They go to the bottom and you'll never see them again. Ever. I think I sold one of my Occidental setups and there was still crap shoved down in these little things. This thing. This might just be personal preference, but I can't stand these hammer holsters for the back. They slap your knees like crazy when you got your hammer in them. Take them off. If you watched my Buckaroo video, you know exactly why I switched to Buckaroo from Occidental, and that is because these bags are bulky. While you can fit an impact drill in them, you can load them down with fasteners. This is 6 inches on this side, that's 6 inches on that side. All of a sudden you're a foot wider than you already are, and it makes it really difficult sliding through walls, slipping through trusses. Personally, I like a slimmer belt. That way I can fit through everywhere. And lastly, probably one of my most disliked things about the Occidental setup, and this happened to me just about every single day. Unless you rivet these pouches onto this belt, when you go to take your belt off at lunch, once the belt's broken and everything kind of moves a little bit more freely, you go to take your belt off, things loaded down with tools, weighs quite a bit. Your pouches will fly off of your Occidental belt. It's happened to me countless times. I hated it. You end up picking up your damn tools just before you go to take lunch. It's never fun. Alright, so overall with Occidental, you're getting a super quality belt, something that's going to last you for years. Love the front hammer holster, love all the tool storage that you get. Open pouches are nice. This belt's going to last you a while. The break-in's going to be a little rough, but it's not going to be unbearable. I'm actually pretty excited that I was able to get this set up for this video because I will be setting it up and using it more and more in the future. Alright, so we talked about the 8080 DBs from Occidental. Let's talk about the Buckaroo setup here. So let's jump right into the pros of this belt setup. Buckaroo is cool in the sense that you get to go through and hand pick what you want. All these pouches were selected by me. This little hammer and chisel frog back here, it was pretty rad. It's kind of like a build your own setup. So I mentioned that I didn't like the hammer holster from Occidental. That's a different story with the Buckaroo. This is a hammer and chisel combo frog. Not sure why they call them frogs, dead honest. It doesn't smack against your knees though. I tried to keep it as close to the back right as possible. That was where it was most comfortable. People mentioned the fact that they slide around quite a bit. I didn't really have that problem. My belt cinched down pretty good. Every now and then it would transition over here depending on what I was doing, but it's not that big of a deal just moving it back over. That is probably one of my favorite things about this belt. So the belt here is super padded, nice and comfortable. It doesn't get too sweaty. I was pretty impressed. I thought it was going to. You have two belts though. You have the one belt that goes around your waist and secures the whole setup to your body, and then you have another one that goes onto that belt that holds all your pouches on. And that is when you can customize and put this holster over here, this pouch back here, kind of do whatever. I really do enjoy this double belt design though. It's super comfortable, easy to move all your stuff around. All you have to do, take that little guy off right there. There's one pouch, hammer and chisel, and that pouch there. Now you're down to a plain belt. Super easy to customize, you can change it up however you want to. Tons of accessories as well. Now one thing that I was somewhat concerned about when I first got this belt is the material seems pretty thin. I have put these things through hell. Granted, they don't look that bad. I have never had a hole puncture through it. I have never had anything tear through it, cut through it, anything like that. They do show some wear, but they're still in great shape. And since it is a thinner material, like I mentioned, the break-in is really simple. As you can see, they're pretty floppy right now. The biggest reason why I switched to Buckaroo. Look at how thin that pouch is. That's thin. That is too. They're tighter to my body, they're slimmer. That's why I switched. I wanted to be able to get through trusses easier. I wanted to be able to crawl through tight spaces. With these slimmer pouches from Buckaroo, I was able to do that. Alright, so now that we've gone over the pouches, you know that they're tough, you know that they're durable, thin leather, so it's an easy break-in. Wanted to talk about these suspenders here. There's hardly any padding in these things. I didn't think they were going to be comfortable. This setup, you can't really feel it when you have it on. These suspenders are comfortable. And they've got the little reflective strips right there on the front. You're styling. These are a lifesaver. If you're going to get a set of Buckaroo bags, definitely get the suspenders. If you're going to get any belt setup, please get suspenders. So now that we've talked about all the great things about Buckaroo, I want to go over some of the things that I dislike. There isn't a whole lot of room for tool storage. What I would have liked to have seen was a couple little spots here, throw some pencils in there, maybe a marker or so. I feel like they definitely could have put more into tool storage. As I mentioned with the Occidental setup, I liked my hammer up in the front. Same with my Diamondback setup. I would have liked to have been able to put my pouch here and then this holster up in front of it, but there is just not enough room in here. I have seen people cut down the pouches and stuff like that. It's not really something I was looking to do though. If these little guys here could have been a little bit more spread out, it would give you a bit more room to play around and customize it just a bit. Now, other than the lack of tool storage and this Buckaroo belt, I really have nothing else to say. They're a great belt other than that. They're fairly lightweight, strong leather, good material. The belt setup's killer. The suspenders are nice and comfortable. This is really a great belt. Alright guys, so we talked about Occidental, we talked about the Buckaroo setup. This is the Artisan from Diamondback Toolbelts. So while both of those bags are leather, the Occidental is not full leather. The bags are actually nylon, and that is the same material used to make this stuff here. Although Diamondback does have this super tough, Superman-like nylon that they use, these bags are durable. Alright, so as you can see, we have a little bit more going on with this belt setup than the other two. The other two are pretty much just two pouches in the holster. There's a grip of attachments you can get for this. Let's go over the pros. Diamondback is built out of some really tough nylon. These bags look and feel gnarly. You're not going to be having any trouble with durability on these. So having only worn leather belts before, I wasn't too sure how long the break-in would take on these guys here, but the pockets seemed to open up a little bit more as I used them. It's a really comfortable belt setup to work out of now. This setup is more towards like trim carpentry, like finish style work. I'm going to have no problem framing out of them. I've framed out of small bags for quite a while now. I don't need a whole hell of a lot of space. These pouches, as you can see, are fairly slim as well, and there's a 25-foot tape in there. This side does have the hammer holster, and it stays pretty slim too. And that is what I wanted to talk about next. The hammer holster is actually one thing that I really enjoy. And I like having my hammer up in the front right, and this little guy is a trip. It took me a minute to get used to, I'm not gonna lie. And it's surprisingly comfortable. I didn't think having a pouch full of crap with a hammer in between up against your leg would be very comfortable. You can't really feel it. Fits in there just like that. You don't have to deal with the old holster on the back anymore. It's nice, quick, and easy to access. I like that. Alright, so as I was mentioning, tool storage is huge, and I would have to say Diamondback has better tool storage and tool organization than both of those belts. You have a designated square spot, a couple little pockets in here, you even have little pockets down here. There is a ton of little slots and pockets to put stuff. Just like the Occidentals, the Diamondback does have a pocket above the right pouch. It's pretty slim though, and it stays out of the way. It doesn't really block getting into these pouches at all. So as you can see with Diamondback, you do have plenty of little attachments. Here's a nice little nail holder right here. You can fit a ton of nails back here. Little chisel sheath here. On the front here, you can hook your impact here, hang your gun from here. They have a grip of different attachments though. They're all Velcro. They attach onto the belt or onto the pouches. It's pretty rad. So this is the 4-inch belt. It's pretty similar to the Buckaroo belt, how you have one belt that's nice and padded and then the other one that holds all your pouches on. I ordered the first belt that I got, I ordered a small based off of my pant size, which is like 33 inches. That was completely inaccurate. The pouches were like literally behind me. Go a little bit bigger than what you think it's gonna be. I wear a size 34 pants and this is a medium belt. It fits great. Alright, so now that we've talked about all the pros of this Diamondback setup, it's comfortable, there's tons of tool storage, I really like the hammer holster there. All the different attachments that you can get for it are great. The belt is nice and padded. Overall, it's a great setup. I want to talk about the cons, starting with the hammer holster. Although I said I really enjoy it, I like the placement, I like how comfortable it is, it's nice and easy to access. I have bumped into more things with this hammer being here than anywhere else. I like the idea, I like where it's at. I don't know, I've bumped into a grip of different things with it. That's the only setback about having it there. The next thing is the storage is pretty tight. It does take a bit to break in. Some of these are still in need of some good wear and tear, but after a while I'm sure they'll open up pretty good. One last thing about this Diamondback setup that I've found that I really don't like about it is for some reason I sweat 10 times more when I wear these suspenders as to when I wear the Buckaroos. I don't know if it's the material here on the inside, but I find myself sweating way more than I ever have working in the middle of summer with the Buckaroo suspenders there. Overall, I'd say all three of these belts are heavy hitters. That's the reason all three of them are sitting here on this table. There is plenty of other companies out there that make tool belts. These three are by far the most worn in the industry. I hope I was able to let you guys see a little bit more in depth with all three of these tool belts. I have used all three of them for quite a while now. I understand them pretty good. There are things I wish were different. I sweat like a pig in the Diamondback suspenders. I wish the Buckaroos had more tool storage. The Occidentals, I wish they were a little bit more customizable, maybe slimmer pouches. All three of these belts are definitely in competition with each other, and I honestly couldn't tell you which one is best suited for your needs. That's why I'm hoping by showing you each and every one of them, you're able to put together what you think would be best for you. That is all we have time for today though, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to me here on YouTube. Turn on post notifications to where you can keep up with me. Follow me on Instagram as well. My link will be down in the description below. If there's anything you want to see or ask about the three of these belts, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I'll get back to you, show you guys anything you want to see. That's it though, guys. Happy belt shopping.